Welcome to Wellness Radio with Dr. Jeanette Gallagher as your host. Her show discusses topics of health, wellness, and spirituality, and is about discovering your place in this great universe from your cells to the cosmos. Along with her guest, in casual conversation, she strives to ask the difficult questions that may be holding you back from a vibrant life, and shares new ideas that may inspire you to make a change in your life that you only can see in your dreams. And now, here is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Radio. This is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher, and it's a pleasure to have you with us here this evening. Tonight we are going to be talking about alchemist. What does that word mean? Ascension, what does that mean? How can I change my life? My life's been going pretty good. I say myself, I'm 62. If you know, in all those old decades, we say we grew up, we got a job, we had our kids, and we're good to go. And all of a sudden, along came something that we had to learn something different. We had to learn that those old ways might not have been the best ways, or maybe the way we were raised. Maybe we shouldn't be carrying that baggage with us. Or how about all that ancestral lineage stuff? Gosh, I'm so tired of carrying around that baggage. I'll tell you, I just was trying to clear it, cleanse it, and sometimes I wonder, is my bucket ever going to be empty? Haven't we been thinking about some of these things? I know so many of our listeners are on so many different paths these days, a lot of pain, a lot of grief, tons of physical issues, and even still some that have said, throwing up my hands, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to sit here. Well, I've done that too. I sat there. I've been sitting there for the past 12 years and just waiting for things to come, working through things, putting things out, and not trying to force the issue. Are we trying to force the issue in our lives because we want to see something different? Ooh, they look so healthy. I want a piece of that. Ooh, they're so spiritually a guru. Gosh, I got to have a piece of that. Or, hey, their life looks just so grand. I have to have that. And we wonder, is it the outside part we're looking for? Or is it supposed to be coming from inside? And we really get confused in this language. Well, today we have the expert to help us with that. My guest today is Aurora Juliana Ariel, and she's going to be sharing her book, The Sacred Alchemist, Alchemical Keys to the Ascension. And Aurora can always tell us how can we transform that. Because when we get stuck in the middle with the words and the language, sometimes we say, I'm never going to get there. Where the heck is there? Aurora, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. Feels like a lot of light and healing's flowing, and everything's getting ready for all the magical things that are going to take place.
So, Aurora, don't you think that, as we have come through this passageway, many have, some others are saying, what's going on? I don't even know. What's the name of the movie, right? And they're just sitting back and going, who knows, Yes?
I think so many people have gotten disheartened because it does feel endless at times, the issues, the patterns, the programs that keep coming up. And a lot of times there's misconceptions about it, like, haven't I healed this, or I thought I moved past that, and why am I going through this, or haven't I cleared enough? And I've just found from working with people all over the planet for so long that there seems to be an important element to our inner work that is about this ascension process we're in, that those of us who came to do this, that we took on such piles, and incrementally we are healing and transforming this for ourselves, our family, and all humanity. So when we look at it from the perspective of a sacred offering to a planet, that as we clean up these subterranean realms of the psyche and clear the way for our fully actualized selves to come into the forefront and take command of our lives, it's raising the whole planet. It's bringing everyone along with us, and it's showcasing a way for humanity to ascend in their higher natures. So it's actually a sacred offering and part of our life, and nothing to get disturbed about. It's just everyone needs to have mastery and the right tools. And when you have those two things, you just breeze through it all.
I think so many of us have floundered along the way because there really was no template. There was no program you could plug into. There was no app for that, so to speak. And we kind of just meandered our way through and did a lot of the stumbling. And I think now we see people and we say, but their life looks so easy and so comforting. Where are they on the path? And then we think, ooh, that's some judgment. Maybe I'm judging myself where I am, what my position, my purpose, my mission against someone else. And I think sometimes that right there is a stumbling block for many that are on the path but are there ready to give up.
Yeah, and it's important to have a clear perspective on it. All of us can be at the heights and glory in our true nature, feeling that incredible awakening and joy and radiant beingness, and then 2 days later we're plummeting as the next pieces come up from the psyche to be cleared. So it's a journey, and we really can't look at other people's lives and think, oh, they have it so much better, because none of us really do. We're all in this together. All took it on. It's a big pile. We're going to be transforming this stuff all the days of our life, maybe, or maybe there'll be a point where we hit that critical mass and it's done and the rest just gets lifted. Whichever way it goes, once again, it's understanding the psyche, understanding these subconscious programs and how they've affected every area of our lives, infected our world, and created all the havoc and misery and suffering we see. And that's why we, the front-runner souls, the ones who came to do this sacred work, that's why we took it on. That's why we didn't come in enlightened in this time. We wanted to be the cleanup crew. So it's not very easy to be one of the ones cleaning up all this, but it's really, really it gets to be a joyous path when you get faster and faster at working the inner alchemy and transforming the aspects that are holding all this in place, because each time you do that inner work, you're up on the next level. You're in a transformed consciousness. You're feeling more of the truth of who you are. And so the more you do that, you're just anchoring in and etching in, I am this. I am this glorious, immortal, eternal spirit, this amazing, spectacular soul, or spirit, really, because the soul has taken on so much. And all of that was not me. It is not me. I'm not that. I'm not those beliefs, not that limited self. I'm not that mess.
Well, I think it's so vitally important, which we've spoken so many times with my guests on the radio, is that we do share that there is very great work we've done, where we're at, but there's also, as you said, those dips, and to honor those, but to speak about those sometimes, because so many are saying, you can have all of this, and they see their good part, but they don't. People who are working along the path or walking along with each other, when they see someone fall, they're like, ooh, then they mustn't be on their path. Do you know what I mean? And they're so afraid to say that that's part of the process right now, is that we do have a stumble, we have a human thing, we fall down, we get up, whatever that might be. But there's so many different aspects to it that we just don't judge it, we don't label it, we don't find fault with it. We just go through with it we heal through it, we listen to it, and we keep moving on, and I think that's what's so vitally important. I had a guest once that said, I have this person, and this person was a real important guru, and she this, she that, but you should have seen her when she wasn't in the limelight. She was a real witch. And I went, that was not really the best to be, because what she was saying is that she wasn't honoring her full self, but he wasn't either. And I think that's important for people to say. If you see someone stumble, it's when you reach out your hand to the side. Yes. And then when you see people that are needing a hand up, you're sharing that. You will put your hand up many times. And I think it's important to understand that we are all part of this process. There is not anyone better, worse, same, different, or anything, that everybody is in this process. So when we're really putting our pieces of our puzzle of this ascension together and each person is raising their vibration, well, they're raising it from wherever they are up. We're raising it from wherever we are up. It's not saying that they or others or everyone has to be on the same frequency, more or less, correct?
Yes, or always perfect in every moment, which, as we know, is impossible, right? And so there's no judgment. I'm always training my students. There's no judgment about what's coming up and how you feel. It's more about loving and yourself enough to embrace these aspects and transform them. And right now, we don't really know who anybody is. You could pass someone in the gutter that's an alcoholic and missing teeth, and he could be the most illumined bodhisattva in the higher realms. Right now, we have so many enlightened divine beings participating in this great change, bringing humanity through this ascension process and this planetary restoration upgrade, that it's impossible to judge anything of who anyone is by how they're acting or behaving. Of course, we would love everyone to be loving all the time and joyous and perfect, but that's not how it is down here on Earth. There's a lot to clean up. There's a lot to go through, and sometimes we fall under the weight, and sometimes we're not our best selves, and sometimes we get triggered and we have so much anger before we gain control. But then there's an ability now, because now we have the tools, now we have the technology to get to the session very fast, to get angry and then step back, embrace that aspect of self, and with love and compassion, get its story, help it go through a transformation and realize its full potential. And when we do that with these aspects in the unconscious, we're raising them, and it's bringing us back to the truth of who we are.
It was so interesting. I think it was just today. Someone had posted something on Facebook, and someone said something about another that wasn't very nice, and another person took up what I call takes up the staff, more or less, and kind of said how that person should have taken it off and how they were judgmental and they were wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I stepped back for a second and I just observed it. And I said, but that person that got mad about it was actually providing a gift to everyone that had posted on this, because then they would have turned around and learned and asked themselves the question, am I compassionate, am I not, and how did I play in this game? And maybe I shouldn't have played in this game, And I think sometimes it's not an idea of guilt or shame in these days. What it really is owning up to our own power of being compassionate, being true to ourselves, being true to others, versus being, I'm just going to spew, and then, I'm going to have a little shame, I'm going to have guilt, I'm going to cower down, but then I'm going to rise up to my other powerful anger self. So I think sometimes when we look at that, we could say that is that is really transforming that circle all the way around, because when the person was there, he did something, but what that person did is not the controversy. The controversy is how we attack, react, transform, or show our light to be able to have others see something, and I don't think they realize that full circle power, and how that really worked out. But if you stood back, you could see it play out, and it was just, I think that's really the power of transformation is, can you see it play out without always sticking your finger in it and overreacting and trying to control it or drawing the tentacles, I'm going to worry about it all the time. Do you know what I mean? Yes?
Yes, definitely. There's an element there that is, I believe, important to really understand, that we have taken all this on, right? All this unconsciousness, ways of being, behavior, everything. And somehow it's got to get triggered so we can deal with it. Otherwise, it's way down in the caverns of our psyche, and we don't access it. So we need people playing roles. So one person, like I said, the alcoholic in the gutter that maybe has caused so much misery for the family, but maybe those 7 people in the family are doing all kinds of inner work, transforming this condition from within themselves, and all 8 are playing a role, and the essential element is the alcoholic. So when we get triggered by people, I find that it's just really important to pay more attention to what's happening inside myself, like what came up, what am I feeling, what, is going on, and tend to that and heal and transform that part of me. And then, I'm back to myself. I'm back in my centered, loving, proactive, positive self. Then, you can assess what happened. Were they just playing this out unconsciously? They don't even know what they're saying. Is that, you look at the root, is this kind of, how did they become like that? And that's where you can get understanding, compassion. And a lot of times you don't even have to deal with it because they served you. They served your soul advancement. Somebody's got to do it. And sometimes the mailman isn't good enough. It has to be someone close to us. It has to be someone we really care about that can really trigger us, not just someone as you're going through the health food store. And so putting all these things in perspective really helps understand it all, so that when the going gets tough, you know what's going on and how to support yourself and how to really be there and transform and get back to yourself quickly and shorten the time of all this misery. And then what you were saying as well, all these people chiming in, it's like we're all having individual and group learning modules and experiences from it all. And I think personally that if we just took the judgment, the shame, and the guilt out of it all, the going's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's just a cloak that so many are holding on to. I know so many. I work with a lot of clients for end of life, and a lot of times they just choose to take that with them, because it just seems too hard. A lot of our health conditions are based upon that. I just really want to keep my heart shut down because of guilt or shame or what I did or what I didn't do or whatever that might be. And it's very hard to say that that they should release it, or say that they should open their heart, or say they should be kind, or say they should let it go, when it's really truly for them in that moment. Now, there may be a million people that will hear us that will think that, I'm right there with you. This is where we're at. There may be another million that says, there's no way you're going to get to my core. And there's another million that says, I don't even understand what you're saying. This sounds like German to me, and that's quite fine, because what's happening is that we're putting the energy out there of loving or kindness or compassion or empathy or helping healing or being support systems or just saying it will be okay. And just, or just look at someone or smile at someone or reach a hand out. And as we do all of these different things, eventually things transform. I mean, when you talk in your book, about being an alchemist, that's, an alchemist is change. I mean, you could set your hand on someone that might be very angry, and their heart, then they may start crying. That's alchemy. That's transformation. That's what that is. Except I think people get scared and say, well, I don't really know what it is, and they give other scary names to it to continue that fear path. Yes?
Well, I do see a lot of people that carry these things and are not resolving and not transforming it, not doing that inner alchemy. And what happens is then it begins accumulating and causing, like you said, disease.
Right.
It messes up relationships, the finances, the self-esteem. And when we get to the end of the life with all that baggage, I'm seeing people are having a hard time passing. Like they're so resistant, they're scared, they were bad, they were wrong, they couldn't resolve things. And that's the way humanity's been doing it forever. I mean, this is the planet we came into. Nobody was doing what we're all doing and interested in clearing and interested in transforming their lives and actualizing their greatest potential or even fulfilling a high destiny.
Right.
And so everyone was relegated to living out the fate dictated by their human programs. So with Sacred Alchemy, the work I've brought forward and developed, it's the inner transformation of self. It's taking the baser aspects of self that are the subconscious aspects in our below our conscious awareness and transforming them back into the gold of the true nature. So there's something very powerful with this inner alchemy because you can be like down for the count. Just there's times I've been in a dark night of soul and just so unable even to get out of bed. There's so much has happened and the wrecking ball has come in and I'm standing in the rubble and I'm down for the count and lay there and do this process and jump out of bed like an Energizer bunny, just in my authentic self, going, this girl is on fire. It is amazing. It's amazing how fast we can clear these things. And Lord knows there's been tons of different modalities and things coming out of the psychological, which is soul healing movement that emerged in this last century, that, you know, no longer do we need to be in suffering and misery for long. We don't have to be depressed for 8 years and angry at Joe for 7 and miserable and have low self-esteem. All of this can get transformed. We can live just amazing lives even while we're transforming these big piles we took on. And for me, it's very exciting, and it's the very fact that this is going on globally with masses of people. We're like at 400 million right now from the demographics of people that are actually transforming their lives into this awakening, raising their consciousness, taking care of themselves, flocking to sacred sites and all these great modalities and filling themselves with just the best that we're all bringing to the world. I mean, we're the ones that brought it all, and we're availing ourselves of it, and for the other souls of humanity that have been more slowly evolving here. So we're in exciting times, and the only thing I'm seeing about this year is I feel like we've entered a critical time. And I think a lot of people can understand that watching the news, if anyone does that anymore, and seeing some of the dark potentials that are looming and crazy people running countries and all kinds of bizarre stuff going on, that more than ever now, if we're going to move into the positive future we came to help manifest, we've got to be in our higher natures most of the time. We really do need to be those proactive, positive, self-actualizing beings of light, not entertaining these inner aspects and in the throes of darkness all the time. Because if we don't make the shift and we continue these programs, we're going to have the world the way it's always been.
I think so many times I see a lot of things in passing on the news, or someone would say something to me, and I'd say, oh, that is absolutely fantastic that you brought that up. So let's look at that a different way. If the water is really dirty and it's the government's fault and it's this one's fault and that one's fault and everything, say, so how can I clean my water at home for my family? And then I'll get on Facebook and tell everybody else how they can clean theirs in the community. And then we'll say, oh, well, we don't need the government to clean it anymore. In other words, let's back up the process versus trying to just constantly point the finger at something that, you feel that you don't have control over or under or whatever that might be, So a lot of times when they say these things are so wrong, even with healthcare, they say about, my health care rights and everything, and it's, well, okay, but you haven't been to the doctor, you're 50 years old, and maybe you need to take care of yourself along the way. Are you doing that? So that's the health, you know what I mean? We're bringing it back that we have a little more that we are a participant versus being a receiver all the time. In other words, healthcare is not a commodity. You go to the store, you buy it, and it fixes you, just like, some other things. With car insurance, they don't fix your car. They fix it once, and then that's it, and they'll kick you out, if you keep running into the wall. So I think there's times that we are now saying, it's time to stand up and say, if my water's dirty, I can clean it. If I need some more fresh food, I can grow it in the yard. If I need my children to not be bullies, I will speak to them more lovingly at home. If my husband doesn't have a job, I'll help him learn how to work on the internet. So it's really about bringing these things forth. That are so many endless possibilities that people are saying, but I can't do that, and it's going, why? And that's where our limits come in about our being, yes?
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're here, the Earth Restoration Project, and to showcase a new way for humanity. And a way is doing that, because I think when we came, a lot of people were leaving it up to the government and them out there, and they were just so overloaded with their families and their work, their jobs. So there was a disconnect, and then there was also a listening, a following the leader and whatever they say I'm going to do, right? And instead of now, so many of us are questioning things, and we're looking into health, and we're not just listening to what someone says or what an authority figure says. We're researching it, and thank goodness we have the internet, and we're finding answers and solutions, and a lot of us too are bringing remedies to the world. We're bringing the cures, we're bringing the inventions, we're bringing the higher vibrational art and music, and creating a whole renaissance, a global renaissance on Earth with all our offerings. So just people on fire, finally there's an awakening, and people on fire and are driven by this amazing fire in the soul to make a difference, to actualize a greater potential, to help the planet and help others. And it's truly an incredible time when we look at it and see how much of a positive nature is going on, how many people have rolled up their sleeves and are making a difference. How many people care to make a difference, and are living in the joy and fulfillment of that?
Yeah. Aurora, we have a caller. Would you like to take a call at this time?
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay. Hello. This is Dr. Jeanette and Aurora. Would you like to ask Aurora a question? This is area code 661. Hello?
Oh, yes, I'm area code 661. Is that myself?
Yes, ma'am. Would you like to speak with Aurora and ask her a question?
Other than I love her work, I saw that she was on the radio, so I tuned in. I didn't specifically have a question, but I have a private with her next week. Aurora, this is Susan.
Susan, thank you for joining us. How great to have you on the call.
I'm loving it. It's really great, and the book's great, and thank you for all of your work. Oh,
thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Yeah, you were saying on the email you've been attending all the global healing forums every month for 2 years now, right? That you began? Were you the one that began in the beginning?
That was someone else, but I actually just got the free audios from your website, and just tears and tears and tears for days every time I listened. And then I noticed that when something like that would cause tears, I didn't get tears. I just got chills. So I was the one that said, I think you healed my sacral chakra.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I've just had masses of people I'm interacting with right now because I've been giving a lot of interviews. So it gets a little blitzing, but yeah, I remember, and that was so incredible to read, and thank you so much for sharing that. I love to know what all these offerings for humanity are doing and the great impact they're having.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much.
Well, it's very fun to be a vessel of it, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. So thank you for coming and partaking of it and sharing, your information today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can stay on the line, and we'll keep you on. You could still listen to the show. Aurora, could you share a little bit about, in your book, again, The Sacred Alchemist, you talk about the 12 Ascension Keys. What are those about?
Well, there's a lot of alchemical keys in this body of work, and what happens when you read the key and you're in a receptive mode, there's a whole alchemy that occurs within you that is very transformative. And a lot of people are telling me that not only that, just having the book in their hands or in their home has been incredibly transforming. The reason is because this information came directly from my divine sponsors, and I have very little in the mix. Like in a lot of my other books, I'm, fully engaged and sharing and in this divine flow. In this one, the divine ones gave these different keys. Now, the 12 Ascension Keys were given by Serapis Bey, and some people might know Serapis from his embodiment at Luxor, and he had come from Atlantis and with a group, and they had the Ascension Temple in Luxor, and now he's got an etheric retreat above Luxor, and he's helping initiate this ascension for humanity. So the different ones, I can just give you kind of the names of the title, and everyone can just tune in and feel the energy. So be the peace.
One second, Aurora. Are the keys, are they the steps that you go through in which your body will transform something then? Are they, in other words, are they, they're the little keys? It's sort of like when we say, I say the word love and your heart feels something. I say the word think and your mind works. I say the word stand up and your knees start to hurt. You know what I mean? So are the keys something that is that will generate that energy within you to be able to bring up something to be transformed, and it will then be able to help transform that energy if it's available?
I haven't looked at it from the perspective you're saying. I use these keys and this information in my Sedona Mastery Intensives, the Sacred Alchemist, Adeptship in the New Millennium, Sacred Tours as well. And when we're in the group and I'm reading the ones that feel inspired, it's incredibly illuminating. It's like light pouring into your crown chakra and filling your whole being and immediately taking you to a next level. And it's the very molecules of your existence start transfiguring back to the divine pattern. And I haven't seen it bring up things to be healed like right in that minute, but the whole time people are in these trainings, we're clearing and people are raising and becoming more acclimated in their true authentic selves. That they have keys, cups of light. They are working in alchemy, just reading them. They're beyond the words, beyond beyond what it's saying. Yeah, beyond what it's saying.
Right, because then almost they are observing they are being the transformation versus having to always, we think of cleaning the kitchen. I got to wash the floors, I got to clean the kitchen, I got to do the dishes, and everything is done, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I forgot something else. In other words, so these keys are more, they're just presented and there it appears, So in other words, it is just the being and not always all of that other stuff all the time. Sometimes people get so bogged down with this clearing all the time. When you clear, there's always a void because you haven't put anything else in there. So almost like these keys, when I read the book, is more, they are that which goes into that space. When something else has transformed, it goes into that space. When something has cleared and moved on, it goes into that space. So you're not always in a void kind of space. You have, in other words, there's that balance there, and it really shows up as almost more light. Yes? That's how I saw it.
Yes. I just found the little part where Babaji, who gave 7 alchemical keys in the book, says applying, how to apply the chemical keys. And I'll just read really quickly so people kind of get the gist. But it says, at first glance, these alchemical keys seem simple, and yet it has been applying them daily that the change occurs. And this, not only in the psyche, there is a reconfiguring of the molecules of one's being, a rearranging of the atoms into divine perfection. You find your behavior shifting as you become more refined, open-hearted, peaceful, and calm. A new way of being emerges. You are a commanding presence in this with a quiet power, an inner power that allows you to assess situations and people with a quiet calm. Finally, you are in your authentic power and wield a wise dominion over your life. As things appear on your horizon, you either embrace them with a joyous heart, drinking in the rich rewards that come from being in your divine nature, or you transmute them back into the divine intention for your life. Masterful, clear, and directed, you emerge on the screen of life with an awe-inspiring nobility, for you have reclaimed yourself and now stand in the earth as a divine royal, bringing your inspired ideas, clear insights, illumined actions, and sacred offerings to the world. So very definitely a formula, and these alchemical keys and some of the knowledge that's brought forward here as well, very key for us to raise very quickly into the truth of who we are and stand in the earth, commanding presences and being that truth. It's one more blessing from divine realms to help us accelerate on the ascension path in this time. I'm curious, Jeanette, how did you experience the book? You read it. Did you have anything take place? Now
that I think of it, I spoke to you before the show about heating up. Everything is heating up around me, and I read the book today. And everything heated up today. I guess there's a relation. So it must have raised or brought up more energy, and it brought up every time when I do more activations or whatever, or healings, I tend to get much hotter. Things blow out around me. My computer's blown out 3 times this year, and now it's hot again today. So apparently, the cell phone, the tablet, the kitchen light, and the computer are all on the fritz within the past 6 hours, so go figure. So I assume that it definitely had some sort of shift, and I think sometimes when we stand back and we, I read someone had posted today, they said when you stand back and look at the minefield behind you, you will know of which you've made it through, and I think sometimes we can't always see it in the present, and we can't always see it like a day or two, but I think when I turn around and look, I'm like, wow, So today will be noted on the schedule, and, I write down every day something that goes on, and I eventually go back and read those, and I'll go, gosh, I can't believe I did that, and I'm sure those things will show up. So thank you so much for that book.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it forward because it's hot off the press. So I'm really excited about this release, and I feel so transformed by it. So it's something I love to keep, by the bed and partake of. And it's a great book for just opening and just reading and drinking it in. And because you did the whole book at once, I'm imagining that it just opened you up to high-velocity divine energies pouring in and blitzing the field, probably. It did a power pack thing to you. I haven't seen that happen with it, but that's because in the Mastery Intensives, I'll just inspired at different moments throughout the days, to read parts of it. It would be a great experiment having everyone, we read it all the way through. And see what happens, but maybe we'll do it in the future. So
I get probably 10 books a week, so I read them, the day of the show, read the book, set it down, and then we do the show through intuition. I don't go back to it. And, whatever comes up through the show is the conversation, and it clearly, apparently, must be that. So there we go.
That's so funny. I'm receiving right now a divine inspiration to share a little bit about what it is to be a sacred alchemist, because I'm sure a lot of people have heard alchemy, turning, base metals into gold, and what would it look like? What would it be like to be a sacred alchemist in this day and age, in this century at this time? And so how I'm seeing it and experiencing it, and because it's my life path, I find it is really about being on a conscious life path where you're attaining the greatest mastery and skill, and you're refining yourself through the sacred alchemy process, through that inner alchemy, as you're transforming the baser aspects of self so that your true authentic self keeps rising and taking command of your life and destiny. Now, for millennia and eons of time, humanity were just living out of their shadow selves, and all these programs and belief systems were running and dictating the fate they were relegated to. And people had a lot of mythology around that. They believed, God was smiting them because they're bad when they underwent hardships, not realizing what I found in countless sessions till I finally realized this is what's going on, is that those programs are creating the reality of our life, of our world, of what we're going through, of every adverse condition we'd ever deal with, and then collectively it's made the world look like it does. So when we understand this direct relationship with our outer reality, and we master skills to be a sacred alchemist, to really be transforming ourselves and ever rising on this incredible accelerated soul advancement that's available today. And then from that illumined self, being a vessel and part of this greater divine plan that's so beneficent and blessing our world, that is when we are not on that old path, just falling under the weight of life conditions and being tossed to and fro and not really understanding and believing we're bad and God's punishing us. That's when we're walking in our authentic power, and we're masterful, majestic beings. And that doesn't mean we're going to always be perfect, because we might feel angry, we might feel sorrow, we might be overwhelmed, but we're not going to stay in that. A sacred alchemist, a master sacred alchemist does not stay in the shadow aspects, does not indulge them, because she realizes that those are younger parts of self clamoring for attention, who want healing, who want to be transformed, not for us to get down in the bed with them and be in a depression for 8 days. They need us to take their hand and take them through a process, an alchemical process, so they can transform, so that the past can be cleansed, all the sorrows, memories, belief systems, and patterns they're carrying, and they can be fully realized and actualized within us operating from the divine self. And when we do this, we're ever changing our futures. We're redialing ever new futures to be more beneficent, because as we heal the big pieces, those aspects are not going to be creating havoc in our world and our future. They're going to be operating on the divine side in alignment with the higher divine plan for our lives. And so what happens is, when more and more of us are doing this work, we're actually collectively redialing the earth to a higher vibration, to a higher dimensional reality of love and harmony and peace. We're restoring the earth to Eden. We're bringing in that golden age of light that's actually encoded in our hearts. So that is what it means to be a sacred alchemist. It's being a master of your psychology, of your life, of your destiny, of your consciousness, and doing your part in maintaining a high quotient of the time where you are in your authentic self.
And for many, that would say that feels exciting. It feels exciting. No, it feels exciting. It feels, and it doesn't. You want to say overwhelming, but you don't, because you know it isn't. You want to say it sounds like something I don't understand, but you don't, because you do understand. So in other words, those old words don't show up anymore because it really appears. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like it isn't overwhelming. It isn't heavy. It's not impossible. It's everything else, you know? And it just feels, in other words, if you could sit up straighter after hearing that, you know that it's working. You know what I mean? You know that you're there. You know you can do this. You know you're coming forth. You know you're awake, versus the opposite. Yes?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I created Sacred Alchemy into a 7-step process that's really easy. And teens have run with it when I did a teen forum, and you can do it with kids and family members. And so I put it in a book that's free for everyone, everywhere, since I released it at Christmas in 2009, and that's TheQuest, Heal Your Life, Change Your Destiny. And so it is a quest. It helps you uncover who you truly are, the treasures of self, and bring out latent qualities and parts of you that you never knew were in there, wise parts and talented parts and all kinds of things. So it's a treasure hunt to do this work. And it's really exciting and fun. And when you finally leave behind the judgment and about these things, and then you could just be matter of fact, like, oh my gosh, here's my next piece. This one is so angry, she could just smash everything in the world to pieces. And like, how interesting is that? And then you start working with that piece, and by the time you've taken it through the 7 steps, that part of you is totally transformed, and now you are on such an incredible level of your authentic power, because the angry parts locked in our unconscious that we've suppressed, that's our lost power. So if you're not feeling that you have much energy or vitality or passion for life, a good thing to look at is, wow, am I never let the anger come up? You know, do I spiritually bypass? Not that I want you to all start raging at everyone. It's just let it come up and masterfully transform it, because it's exciting. And the more huge the upset or the mess that you find in yourself, the more win you're going to get when you do the work, because you're going to access all that on the light side. You're going to transform it into the jeweled aspects of your divine nature. And so it's a powerful alchemy. And if you guys want it, just go on my website, Aurora Juliana Ariel, and go into sign up for newsletter, and you'll get that. You'll get 33 days half price on any session. And it's something that I felt when I uploaded it and got it out to the world, that I just wanted it to be available for everyone. And so anyone in India or anywhere could get it, the people that didn't have money. And it's been amazing, and people that have downloaded from obscure places and all kinds of places in the world, like Kuala Lumpur and South Africa and Iceland, and so I just can imagine Eskimos, up in the North Pole doing the quest and all these people, the guy by the river in India and doing their alchemy. And I have no way of knowing how many people are doing this now. It's just really exciting.
Aurora, we have about 8 minutes left to the show. Would you like to do do you call it a healing, or do you call it a transmission or an activation?
All three. A divine healing, activation, transmission from hot off the press from the realms of light. So I feel very honored that Serapis Bey is here to speak with all of you. And as I said, the hierarch of the Ascension flame that's in his retreat over Luxor. Amazing, amazing being of light. So after this, it's going to be important for everyone to just anchor it in and make sure you're grounded if you get up, because there's going to be, there has been the whole show, and there's going to be massive healing taking place. Some of you might be feeling the heat right now because it's amping up, and the light that's coming in everyone, because there've been a lot of divine ones working on everyone, and will, again, as people listen on the replay, because it's kind of an ongoing healing, and it works on the subtle levels of self, deep in the unconscious. So you might be aware of what's going on, or if you're not, don't worry. A lot's going on, and through his transmission, even more is going to happen right now. There's also the Elohim of love behind him that are bringing in their light from the higher realms for us all. And then I see a host of other divine ones, a lot of divine ones, Mother Mary, a lot of archangels, and cosmic beings. So we actually have many working with us right now and bringing in their light. I'm going to start with an invocation, because I like to formally invite them in, though you participating on the show actually gave the entrance, and that was the entry key, the golden ticket to receive all this. And then we'll go right into what Serapis wants to share. And do you have any little bell or anything you can ring, Jeanette? Because I'm going to be in the timeless zone and not, be able to watch time.
But if we... You can go until the time feels quiet, because till you're ready. I actually can go over a little bit of time, so go ahead and do it in your time. That's fine.
Okay, that works great. I want to thank everybody for coming, for caring to know about all this, and I hope that you'll spread the word about Sacred Alchemy, TheQuest, and let all your friends, family know it's there for them, and your networks, and I hope you'll apply it and see what it does for your life. Okay, blessings, everyone. Beloved Father, Mother, Divine Universal Presence, our inner divine selves and heavenly sponsors, we give grateful thanks for the bountiful blessings, healing, and advancement on our paths. And we ask for the greatest healing that can take place in every area and level of our lives, all the way into those causal levels, for the inner aspects and all those that are holding us back from realizing our full potential and fulfilling our highest destiny. We're so grateful for this healing, light, and blessing, the activations and restoration from the realms of light. And we ask that it be done also for our loved ones, our families, all of humanity, elemental life, all sentient beings everywhere. And we are grateful. We ask that this be done in accordance with divine will and the highest good of all. Oh, beloved ones, the sweet chimes go forth, heralding in the new day, for you are rising, rising on that ascension flame, and being quickened daily by rays of light from heavenly realms that are penetrating this world and positively affecting your psyche and causing a whole molecular transfiguration to take place as you call forth the hosts of light and you open up to that greater divine intention for your soul. Know that I, Serapis Bey, have worked with many initiates on the path. And in ancient times at Luxor, many came from far off areas in the world to realize this high destiny path, to become a fully actualized being. To gain this level of mastery, beloved, was something hidden in the mystery schools until now, and sacred art that only those who would climb the mountains and overcome the obstacles could attain. Yet now, through our beloved Aurora and through this sacred time on earth, we are able to give these most sacred, blessed, alchemical keys to humanity. And each one is resonant with light. Each syllable creates a change within you and positively affects your psyche and even changes your DNA. The light that goes forth helps activate your divine self so that you may become more fully in touch with the truth of who you are and shed faster all that you are not. You came into the world for this holy, sacred purpose, beloved. Otherwise, you would not listen to my voice. You would not have felt the impetus to tune in today to hear what we have to share. Your soul is like that soul who wandered through the world to find me at Luxor so long ago, because the inner light compelled you on the path of your ascension. And so you came to drink from the fount that the Divine Ones had prepared. Through an inner knowing, an inner guidance system that led you straight upon your course. Here you are today, fulfilling the sacred precepts you wrote in your book of life, that when you came to earth at that certain time, you would be brought to these sacred mysteries. You would partake of sacred alchemy. You would hear my voice, and you would open your life more fully to the divine ones that have come to sponsor souls worldwide through this ascension process into their true divine natures, so that in future time you are all standing on the mountaintops in robes of white, illumined and free, demonstrating to humanity the way to actualize the authentic self and live as an eternal, immortal spirit, even in physical embodiment. This is the true ascension, beloved, not the fantasy some have expressed, where if you're good enough, and if you do enough prayers, and if you behave, you can ascend back to the heavens. No, beloved, you are heaven-born. You came from those realms of light, and we stayed behind to anchor the light in and through you, because there needed to be those in physical embodiments in this time who would carry the torch of the Ascension, who would demonstrate the Ascension for all, and who would lead humanity out of the dark night and the reign of terror into a glorious, enlightened age where everyone knows freedom and peace. You are the way showers. You came for this express purpose. Now rise up and take command. Take command of your life and destiny. Cease to give way to the shadow aspects that would arise daily, clamoring for your attention. Transform them artfully with the sacred alchemy we have given you. And stand illumined in this world, bringing your sacred offerings, your sacred gifts, and living in your divine nature most of the time, even while doing the sacred work for all humanity. Know your place. Know your sacred office. Remember now who you are. We who have come to serve you today are removing the blocks and barriers from their third eye and cleansing and activating your pineal so you'll have a greater capacity of receiving those higher frequencies, inspirations, and all that is coming from your divine self that will direct you straight on this course of the Ascension. We have helped balance brain chemistries. That is so essential in this time so that you can be a receptor and hold in your divine self most often. A lot of repair has been going on to bodies, to spinal columns, and also the restoration of the divine codes in the DNA. So much beyond what I can tell you in a short few moments here, beloved, has taken place as the Elohim have lifted dark matter and matrices from you, setting you free from what would have been life sentences of suffering. Though you may never know till you get back to the other side how much was done, as you will now not experience that misery that was taken off your life path. And similarly, working with elementals and helping free them up so that the weather patterns can come back into a divine perfection. And we also work with this economy, resetting it back to divine economy for the world. So much can take place each time we are called for. So invoke our presence on behalf of yourself, your family, and humanity. And know we answer every call, and we are always here to assist you in your ascension in the light. Blessings, blessings to you, beloved. Blessings of infinite joy and peace.
Thank you so much for that, Aurora, for working with us today.
My joy. Thank you so much for having me. Can everyone feel the joy level? I'm feeling so much joy right now. So much gratitude.
Yes. And this transmission will be available, this link for this radio show. There's never a charge to listen to the show. You can listen to it on iTunes or on Blog Talk Radio. Or you could just Google my name and you'll be able to find it, or Google Aurora's and you'll be able to find it also. It's out there all the time. You can play it 100 times a day, twice a day, or for 10 years it'll be there as long as I'm still here. And I think that's important, too, that you could also share it with others. It's very easy to share. You don't need a computer to, you just sign up or do any of that other stuff to be able to hear it. You just click on the link and just tell somebody about it if you have family or friends, and they can click on it and they can listen right then and there. So thank you so much for joining us, Aurora. Could you share your website with our listeners, and so they could find out more information? That would be wonderful.
AuroraJulianaAriel.com is the main one, and then the global healing mission is SacredAlchemy.com.
Well, Aurora, thank you so much for joining us. I feel that so many will be able to benefit from this that are listening now, but even so in the future. And I think that's the point of everything, is that we continue to work with ourselves on every level and every time that we have a chance, so that we can just be more at ease in this world. I think we're fighting against, sometimes we feel like we're fighting against this, that, or the other, and sometimes just to have a comforting hand. I think that transmission was definitely that, so I thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Again, it's an incredible joy. I love being a vessel of the divine and doing my part, and I love helping others actualize their greater potential so they do their part, and it's always just so fulfilling and fun for me.
Well, thank you so much. If you'd like to find out more information about Aurora Juliana Ariel, her book is The Sacred Alchemist. Her link for her website is on the bottom of today's show page. Please do check out her website. It has a lot of events. It has a lot of free information. Again, it has the free download of the book, TheQuest. It also has a lot of things that you can participate in on different levels. And that's so vitally important, because you don't have to say, I don't know where I am, somebody better tell me. No, just click on it. If you're intuitively guided there, if you find yourself on a page, click on it. Listen to it, share it, grab a book, open the book to any page, the book, The Sacred Alchemist. You will find that you will just feel something. Maybe you won't feel something, but maybe you'll put it down. You'll say, okay, I'm going on my merry way, and you may have a confrontation with someone, and you might react or act differently, and you'll say, wow, okay, maybe that's something that I did need or I didn't need, or maybe it's something that I would love to explore further. It's all about exploration of experiences, and please do check out her website on the bottom of today's show page. And this is Dr. Jeanette Gallagher, and until tomorrow, I thank you so much for joining us, and have a blessed day.
Today we discussed many life-changing concepts. Who do you turn to, and how do you know what is best when faced with a health crisis? Dr. Jeanette is a patient advocate. She listens to the patient, the doctors, and the family, clarifies the health issues and concerns, then helps the patient make the best choices going forward. If you would like help implementing change into your life and health, we can talk and see where you are stuck and how to improve the quality of your life. Check the link on the bottom of today's show page, or visit www.drjeanettewellness.com to schedule a phone appointment today with Dr. Jeanette Gallagher.